Good morning, it's the 24th of April and you are watching Ireland AM.
He was standing here swaying there just about 30 seconds ago and he was like, oh God, I'm awake. I'm awake
now. Let the magic happen from now till 10 o'clock.
Come on in. We're jump-starting your week with a hearty dose of chat, crack, Alan, and cuisine.
What cuisine is it? We'll find out later.
No idea.
Coming up, Mayo footballer Padraig O'Hora talks about skincare, GA rivalries, and the Sam Maguire coming home.
Hair care.
Hair care.
Chopped up.
All right.
We'll talk to you about it in just a little while. And from insomnia to weight loss, we can reveal how your hormones can impact your health. We're going to have an endocrinologist live here in studio. So if you've got an issue with your hormones, we would love to hear from you this morning. You can get in any questions, 0896 111 111, because I know I like to say all the time, oh, it's the hormones.
Or do you know it's the hormones that are affecting your humour? You might know it is that.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We'd love to talk to you.
Now, poor Deric is live in North County Dublin this morning where it's belting down. Good morning, Deric.
Oh, Almward, guys, it is raining cats and dogs out here this morning. It is coming down out of the heavens. A pretty wet start across the eastern and central regions out there to kickstart a brand new week, but it will brighten up as the day goes on. You'll be glad to hear in that northern airflow. Now, Rush Beach just over my shoulder here. The dunes, they're under serious threat from coastal erosion at the moment. So this morning, we've got a real eco flavour to today. We're talking about beach conservation, replanting the dunes as well. So that's all to come right across the board. And as I do have a brolly here, but I do have to keep it down. But it's very wet out there this morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Deric.
Lashing, like you couldn't see driving to work this morning.
Yeah.
The wipers were going over, so fair play to him.
And Deric's going, coastal erosion. The day I'm doing coastal erosion.
He's our trooper. That's what he is. So we'll be talking to Deric in just a little while. But right now, let's go over to the Virgin Media News Hub for the first time today and say good morning to Aisling Roche.
Thanks, Myrne. Good morning. A growing list of countries are evacuating diplomats and citizens from Sudan's capital as fierce fighting continues to rage. The government is continuing its operation to send an emergency team to Sudan to help evacuate Irish citizens and their dependents. The government says it's in ongoing contact with more than 150 Irish citizens in Sudan, where a battle between armed groups has been ongoing for over a week.
Fighting in Sudan has entered its second week and there's no sign of a let-up in the violent clashes between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. Yesterday evening, the Irish government said it's in ongoing contact with over 150 Irish citizens in Sudan and announced it's sending an emergency team to the country, including 12 members of the Defence Forces, to provide consular and other assistance to Irish citizens and their dependents being evacuated from Sudan. Over the weekend, the US said it has successfully evacuated its embassy staff and closed the US embassy in Khartoum, but there are reports of problems for other countries trying to get their citizens out. Attempts at ceasefires in Sudan have so far not been successful. Hundreds of people in the country are known to have died in the battles, with thousands more injured. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
The Taoiseach Leo Varadkar is in Belgium today for the North Sea Summit. He'll join leaders of a number of EU member states as well as the President of the European Commission. Leaders aim to finalise the Austin Declaration, which hopes to accelerate the development of offshore wind in the North Seas. Families and individuals in receipt of social welfare payments will be getting a very welcome spring boost from today. Over 1.3 million people will receive a €200 payment this week amid the cost of living crisis. The payment will be made to groups including pensioners, carers and people with disabilities, as well as lone parents, and will be paid in addition to the normal weekly payment. SIP2 members in the National Ambulance Service are to begin a ballot for strike action in a dispute over pay and are calling on management to recruit more staff to ease the pressure on paramedics. If there's no resolution, SIP2 is threatening nationwide industrial action. The union says there will be emergency cover. Elsewhere, Australia has unveiled its biggest military shake-up in decades. A major defence review shows plans to speed up efforts to buy longer-range missiles to counter the growing threat from China. The government will spend around $19 billion to deliver the immediate recommendations. The Defence Strategic Review comes amid increasing military tension in the region over China's stance towards Taiwan.
This represents a document for today and tomorrow. It is the most significant work that's been done since the Second World War, looking in a comprehensive way at what is needed. It demonstrates that in a world where challenges to our national security are always evolving, we cannot fall back on old assumptions. We must build and strengthen our security by seeking to shape the future rather than waiting for the future to shape us.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn. For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Now, after the break, we get the inside scoop on what's making the news in your morning papers.
There's a lot to do with GSOC, as you can imagine. We'll see you very shortly. Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with the Irish Times. Its headline, Defence Forces team prepares for evacuations from Sudan. A team of Irish Special Forces soldiers and diplomats is being dispatched to Sudan to assist Irish people in leaving the country in response to the worsening violence there.
Building costs set for 25,000 cut to help deliver new homes. The government is considering temporarily abolishing the levies to encourage developers to build more affordable homes. That's the front page of the Irish Independent.
The Examiner leads with push for external probe in GSOC crisis. A crisis of confidence has emerged after a senior investigator at GSOC says he attended a party with Jerry the Monk Hutch the night he walked free from court.
The Mirror also leads with the same story, GSOC's party officer to quit. The senior GSOC investigator who quit after he was confronted for attending a party is set to leave Ireland as early as next week, according to the paper.
Similarly, the Star goes with only feuds and hutches. Deric Delboy Hutch has defied the threat on his life by strolling around Dublin like his dad Patsy and Uncle Jerry Hutch.
Meanwhile, the Herald goes with 100k down payment on Hutch hit. Daniel Kinahan made a down payment of €100,000 to violent enforcer Gerard Mackin for the life of Jerry the Monk Hutch, promising him 10 times that when he carried out the hit.
And the Sun leads with violence in war-torn Sudan. Their headline moment, 2 boys trapped 5 days in their basement. Kathy McLaughlin and her 2 sons have now fled to a friend's house as fierce fighting rages in Sudan. Joining us now to go into further details on those stories is Adam Higgins, political correspondent with The Sun. Adam, it's lovely to have you here.
Adam.
And we're going to go into the real-life line of duty, the departed, whatever you want to call it. What's going on with GSOC?
Yeah, it's kind of a worrying twist in this story that's dominated the front pages for the past week or so, and it's one that I think has the government a little bit concerned about public trust in GSOC. So what's happened here is we know that Jerry Hutch, otherwise known as the Monk, walked free from the courts on Monday after being cleared of all the charges around the murder of David Byrne at the Regency Hotel. That murder that kind of shocked the country a few years back. And since that, it's emerged that a member of GSOC, and that's the body that investigates on Garda Síochána, has told colleagues that he was at a party on Monday night in which Jerry Hutch was also in attendance. And so he's told his colleagues this, then they told the bosses, and an investigation has started into this now. That member of GSOC has since resigned, and it's caused a lot of concern in the government. The Justice Minister, Simon Harris, straight away launched or asked for an report.
Internal.
Yeah, an internal
Which
report.
would be carried out by GSOC?
So all his mates was in there because he's a senior investigator. So all his mates are now investigating him.
That's right.
Or his work colleagues, maybe not mates, but his immediate work colleagues are now investigating him.
That's right, yes. So there's an internal investigation ongoing, and I think there has been some pressure, and you'll see quoted in the papers today, Labour's Aidan O'Riordan saying that there needs to be an external investigation, a judge-led approach, that this is such a serious matter because of what GSOC do, their business, what they do, that this has to be an independent, external sort of investigation so that there can be public trust in the system going forward.
Get AC12 in there. AC12. No, I know that this is a very serious matter because there has been, from the Garda Representative Committee, for many years there have been issues between them and GSOC in relation to what devices were being used, what GSOC were using, and now they're saying, hold on now, lads, you can't be investigating yourself as well. Brendan O'Connor has talked about this, the head of the Garda Representative Committee.
That's right, yeah, and I think it's something that will we'll see that pressure ramp up when the Dáil comes back, I think, in the next couple of days, and we'll hear people looking for more answers on this, because I know while it does kind of play out in the papers like some sort of, film like The Departed or something like that, it does raise very serious questions about GSOC.
So we were kind of talking earlier on, obviously massively there's a conflict of interest. There's no doubt that Gardaí, through their work, would know criminals. Like, you'd get to know them, you'd see them all the time. You'd be arresting people at the same time over. So they're colleagues of a sort. But whether it's a conflict of interest or whether there's something criminal going on here, because this is also, they're talking about Detective Superintendent Colin Fox, who passed away in 2018, and he had 7 murder investigations at the time. He died by suicide. And his wife, are they looking into this again? Because GSOC were the ones who investigated his death.
Well, the reason that's come about, or that's mentioned in the articles, is because the GSOC officer that has resigned over this party situation had been involved in that investigation into Colin Fox's death. So that's the reason that has kind of come apart.
And Colin Fox was in charge of the Regency Hotel investigation.
He was the lead on that when he took his own life, and there was a lot of questions, and his wife herself is suing the state over concerns about her husband's the pressure he was under at the time of the investigation and when he passed away.
Yeah, Adele Fox, and she's spoken to Gardaí before about the pressure that
she spoke at a recent Garda representative meeting. She wasn't quoted or anything, but there was kind of an agreed statement from, I think it was Agsy at the time, who said that she spoke very passionately about the pressure that her husband was under at the time, and kind of warning the sergeants and the inspectors about their own mental health.
And has Simon Harris given a time frame on when he wants some answers on this?
No, it was very much a kind of a snap statement. So the minute this was reported, I think first in the Mirror or the Star over maybe Friday or Saturday, and there was a snap statement straight away from the Minister saying that he wanted a report on his table as soon as possible. So I'd imagine we'll get some details. He must bring them to Cabinet this week, I'd imagine, details of a timeline and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's been fascinating and very worrying to watch. Do you think it should be done internally by the GSOC themselves or someone else? 0896 111 111. Now we're going to move along to Sudan, where we have watched the scenes unfold about this vicious fighting that's going on. And of course, there's a worry for the over 140 Irish people that are there.
There is, there's up to 150 Irish people in Sudan at the moment, and the government has sent some of our best defence forces, I think there's 12 members of the Army Ranger Wing, being deployed to try, basically on a rescue mission to get those people home, those civilians back to Ireland. So this has all started with the overthrow of al-Bashir back in 2019. And since now, in 2021, there has been kind of 2 generals of separate factions that have been running the country. And there has been a feud between those 2 that has broken out over...
So they've fallen out, and now it's a power struggle between them.
Exactly, and that power struggle has now spilled out onto the streets. And unfortunately, more than 100 civilians have been killed in crossfires and shooting and things like that.
Yeah,
and this evacuation is being led by France, because we don't have the manpower or any kind of power to get it. So we're relying on the EU, and France is leading the evacuation on this.
That's right. We haven't got a real diplomatic place in Sudan at the moment. So France had an embassy, and the Irish citizens that were there were told to go to the French embassy and ask for help. That has since closed because France has withdrawn their diplomatic staff, and Spain seem to be leading. And we see today in the morning news that Spain has managed to get 100 people out of Sudan overnight, and some of those Irish citizens were on that Spanish flight.
They were on that Spanish flight, OK.
Hopefully everything's going to go OK there, and that they can sort this out, because the ceasefires keep on failing, unfortunately.
Yes, there's been a couple of ceasefires agreed between the leaders, and then unfortunately on the ground the shooting hasn't stopped.
Yeah, it's dreadful to look at.
We were talking about this only last week, weren't we?
We're constantly talking about
AI
about
and AI-generated chat, and how it could take over the world.
But what's happened is really, it's not only distasteful, it's the most stupid move I've ever seen. This is in relation to Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, I can't believe this was published.
I cannot believe this happened.
So can you fill us in on the background?
So a German magazine has used an AI technology to kind of make up an interview with Michael Schumacher, who obviously was really badly injured in that and is still recovering from a ski incident couple of years ago. And so they have asked this AI technology, what would Michael Schumacher say to these questions?
As the first
interview.
And look at the way it's drawn up there. Like, you would pass that by and think there's a genuine interview because it's in very small print at the end, and that it's like, this is what he would say by AI. And
because it is a mock interview. They're like, this is what he would have said. We've used AI.
I mean, you can't do that on the front page of or the front cover of a magazine.
And I think even particularly because of Michael Schumacher's privacy over the past few years, his family put out a statement saying that they wanted his privacy, you know, respected, and he has always respected his family's privacy. During his sporting career, he was a private man, and he wanted his family's private life to be private, and so they're trying to do that for him now while he can't. And then this interview comes out, and I mean, they must have been heartbroken when they saw this.
Yeah, he hasn't been seen since December 2013 when he had that skiing accident in the French Alps. It's awful to do. Like, it's really
like, what editor in his right mind thinks this is a good idea? Let's sell more copies of the magazine. It's just like mad, and deserves to be sacked for that.
Yeah, so they're suing, and of course, the person who published it has been fired, unsurprisingly. We're going to move on because. OK, you'll know more about this than me. I'm a Celebrity is back tonight.
Starts tonight, but this is I'm a Celeb South Africa, so this is already in the can, done. Somebody's already won it. We don't know who, but Carol Vorderman is taking part of it. It's literally like an All-Stars I'm a Celeb. And Carol Vorderman has come out and she said that she lied on the first one. Not lied, she told little fibs about...
She did the right thing.
Yeah, you know, oh yeah, I love rats. I love spiders, because it's when you say, that's what I hate, you're in a coffin of rats.
The helicopter pilot said she was afraid of heights and they believed her or something like that. So is that what she did?
Tactics, I love it.
Tactics, I love it.
So that's what she did. She went in and she lied about her fears.
Yeah, so that she wouldn't have to do some of the tasks that would come up, or that she might have been voted for those specific tasks when she wasn't afraid. And that's sort of a tactical approach to it. You have to appreciate it. It's a good move.
Genius. There's a reason that she's in Mensa. Like, that's what you got to do, because you got to play the game.
Yeah, so we wanted to know what were the biggest fears in Ireland. And the biggest fear in Ireland, over a common fear, is agoraphobia.
I think that's gotten worse since COVID. I know loads of people that have got social agoraphobia now, and they're like find it very hard to go into offices and stuff.
I was surprised that agoraphobia was number one. I would have thought, you know, something like heights, or I know spiders is mentioned as well, but agoraphobia seems like a surprise.
Which is a fear of open spaces. And then when we're talking about animal-related, arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, comes out number top. I just heard a fear of spiders rather than rats or snakes, or I suppose we don't see rats or snakes.
Do you know what I mean?
Spiders. So we'd love to know this morning, what's your big fear? What's your
and your encounter with it? Like, mine is ducks. Ducks. And I came over because I chilled out with some Madrid ducks, you know, Spanish ducks. They've got cheaper prices than Zara. They're more chill than Irish ducks. We're obviously drinking down by the lake and having a
Hold on a second. Ducks that are in a pond.
Ducks are terrifying. I find them absolutely... I don't even eat duck because I'm so afraid of ducks.
Adam, what's your fear?
Do you know, I was thinking about this, and I'd say probably heights, but it wasn't before. But only recently I was up a ladder cleaning out gutters, and a bird flew out from under the gutter, and I was frozen to the ladder for a couple of minutes. I couldn't move. I got such a fright. And ever since then, I'm a bit like, you know, I don't know whether I want to go back up there.
Yeah. Something that you've developed that wasn't inherently in you. That's my
Mine is definitely claustrophobia. Absolute fear of closed spaces like that. I would totally freak out.
Like, and tomorrow we're going to put him in a hole in the ground. Thank you for telling us that. We're going to do an I'm a Celeb.
We want to know what's your fear. Let us know. Any unusual, like ducks.
Yeah, or getting over them. How'd you get it? Did you do the hypnotherapy thing or whatever? 0896
the Speakmans. We need the Speakmans on for you to over. Well, we get the Speakmans.
No, thank you. No,
they can bring a duck in. We bring in a duck and get you holding a duck.
No. They did that once to me on the radio. It was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me. So
Adam,
please do let us know. Adam Higgins from The Sun, thank you so much for joining us.
Now, if you're wondering how to get the best flight deals and travel hacks for your summer holidays, well, travel guru and savvy saver, you're a savvy saver, aren't you? Sarah Adekola joins us now with all the answers. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. OK, let's get on to it. First things first, we want to get away, we want to book the flights. How do we get cheap flights?
So historically, Google Flights did some data and looked at over the last 5 years, from 2017 to 2022, what's the cheapest day to book flights. And they found Monday, Tuesdays and Wednesdays were 12% cheaper than booking on the weekends, like your Saturday and Sunday. So I'd recommend to look at those dates and then set a price tracker, whether you're using Google Flights or Skyscanner, and then compare it.
So would you always get, so if I'm looking to do flights, would you always get a cheaper flight on Skyscanner?
So not necessarily always on Skyscanner. So that's why I like to use both Google Flights and Skyscanner, purely because Skyscanner will have some airlines, but it omits some of them. Like it could be, maybe they have British Airways, but imagine they didn't have British Airways, whereas Google Flights does. So using both platforms together to see what's the best deal works best for
So what's
people.
a VPN?
So VPN is basically a virtual private network and allows you to mask or hide the location that you're browsing from and choose another one. So for example, I'm browsing online, I'm based in Ireland, but I use a VPN like NordVPN or Proton VPN and then select USA. This is great whenever you're traveling to protect your data and prevent third parties from gathering or stealing your data, but also when you're trying to compare the cheapest way to get a flight. So, for example, if I try and book a flight from here, it might be more expensive than if I was in the US trying to book that flight because of different regions and airlines just pricing flights differently based on the country as well.
And I've actually heard that, like, if you're going to be in New York and you need an internal flight, it's actually, if you're trying to do it from Ireland, it works out dearer than if you were on an American network.
Yeah, so
the flights are much cheaper.
So sometimes there can be huge savings there, but of course you have to pay for a VPN. Some of them are free, like Proton, but they only allow you to access the US, Netherlands, and Japan. NordVPN is like €5 a month. So if you're not someone who travels all the time, I don't know that it's worth paying for one.
Right.
Just use a free one
just
instead.
If you're a regular traveller,
exactly, then
traveller.
it probably makes more sense for you.
And is it true that if you have like the Ryanair, the Aer Lingus apps, that if you keep going on and looking for a flight, say to Birmingham tomorrow, or during the week, that they notice that and they'll put the flight up?
So they can
the flight will increase?
So they can recognise, take the data, and they can see that you're obviously searching frequently, and then potentially the price could bump up, because people have seen that. I've even seen that. So if you use a VPN, they can't, your data is basically encrypted, so they can't see your search history or what you've been searching. And so they can't customise that price and bump it up essentially for you.
So book on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday?
Not always the cheapest, but has been seen to be 12%, because sometimes it could be cheaper on a Friday. But just look for Monday, Tuesday and Wednesdays and set a price tracker for those dates.
Right. It's like, it's crazy to think that, like, those days, and then, but by just doing this VPN, you can get a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, we're also looking at suitcases here, and you've some... Is there a good suitcase that you should buy? Like, you have two hard ones there.
Yeah.
Like, are they the type of suitcases we should be buying?
Typically, I look for the harder cases and dark colours. Sometimes you can get the fabric ones, provided they're waterproof, because you don't obviously want to get your clothes damaged. I always look for brands like Tumi, Samsonite that have a warranty. So some of them will have anywhere from 3 to 10 years, because you want to make sure that if your wheel falls off or something like that, they can repair or give you a new suitcase. Also looking for ones with 4 wheels. It just obviously naturally makes it easier when you're travelling and moving it through the airport and in different locations as well.
And you're sort of saying to try and stop people getting into your suitcase.
Yeah.
Now, we're going, who can get into your suitcase? But I've often thought, that looks like my suitcase is being sort of tampered with.
Yeah, like a lot of people, like even me, I can't remember. It was like years ago. I think I had some jewellery in my suitcase. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I put the jewellery in the suitcase. And then I got to my location, there was no jewellery there. So basically, anyone can technically get into your suitcase.
Now, I just have to say, we have
like
to watch this at home, because watch this. You have a suitcase here that has a
little
like, you
padlock
think
here.
this is very secure.
A lot of people...
It's padlocked and everything. But look how easy this is to get into your suitcase.
This gives you a false sense of security in that anyone with a pen, and if you have a zipper like this, like most 99% of people, they just take the pen and they're just going to puncture in like that.
Look
you can
at that.
go all the way around, get into your suitcase
is now
and then
open.
just go over it.
And it's closed again.
And you would never know. Yeah.
You've let everybody know how to do this.
Well, this really is just to demonstrate that you should never put anything valuable in your check bag or in your suitcase. You should have it on your person.
It's that simple, even if you think you're holding this lock.
Even like the TSA lock.
There's no point in
as
really
well.
having a lock.
This is pointless. Like, this is this is pointless.
And what about the ones that you have the combination numbers and all? Once there's a zip.
So I created a video on this as well, even with the TSA lock. So for each lock, there's a specific latch, and you just have to match them all up and -1, and it will open any lock. And it's on my social media as well. But this was designed to help people who forgot like their passcode to get back in. But now a lot of people know how to do that and steal your stuff as well.
And why do you recommend darker colours? It's just for scuffing it.
Because the airline literally does not care about your suitcase, and they will just throw it up and down. And if it's a white suitcase, it's going to be black by the time you get it. So just go for a darker colour. It masks the markings. If there is damage, it's like harder to see for you anyways.
And what about people, you always see them with a little bit of twine or a little bit of a hanky stuck out of the top of the thing just to recognise
No, I
your
like to do that as well. I think it's good to put a tag. If your suitcase is something, especially if you're purchasing from like a popular brand, a lot of people may have this exact suitcase, so have a tag so you can recognise that that's yours and they know that's not theirs. So, yeah.
Right. So, top tips today. Google Flights.
Yeah.
I've never done Google Flights.
Yeah, we should do a demonstration one day, maybe walking people through how to do it.
Yeah,
exactly,
like
how to navigate
see
it.
how we're actually do it. Google Flights, go on and see how we do. And then maybe you'll get cheaper flights if you book Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're flying those days, they're cheaper than weekends.
Yeah, because most people are not travelling during those days unless like you're travelling for business. A lot of people are when they're going on holidays, it's around the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, etc.
And you always notice that coming back on the Sunday, the flights are nearly treble the price.
Yeah. Everyone's coming back.
Everybody's coming back on the Sunday.
Exactly.
So if you can get a cheap hotel and a day off, maybe stay till Monday, you could save yourself hundreds.
A little bit more, exactly.
Good. Now you're going to stay around with us because we've had some questions in already. So if you've any questions that you'd like to ask Sarah about travel and anything at all, like even this, the suitcase thing is great. Get in touch with us, 0896 111 111, and we will get to those a little later on. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. Now, still to come this morning, we've got an award-winning actor, a champion footballer, and some delicious dumplings in the kitchen. Don't go away. We'll see you back here shortly.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Still to come, we have got a football player, a pasta maker, and a hormone chaser. That's what we're going with. She's an endocrinologist.
There we
hormone
go.
chaser.
What a morning we have in store for you. Now, shortly, football star Padraig O'Hora reveals whether Joe Biden has inspired Mayo to take home the Sam Maguire.
Mayo, are you all right?
Mayo for the win. Mayo for Sam.
Mayo for the win. He got there. He got there in the end. Now Alan Hughes has said it. You're sorted.
You're sorted.
You're sorted. Paddy Andrews just said that you weren't, but you're taking up with him. And Dr. Mary Ryan will be dropping by to discuss the importance of hormones and why health issues are often not taken seriously.
Plus, our travel guru Sarah is sticking around because we were chatting about cheap flights a few minutes ago. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask her about flights, insurance, your rights, let us know on 0896 111 111 because we're going to be talking to her again at about 9:20.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, will we get to him?
Deric is live in Rush today. The weather is awesome, so we haven't actually gotten to hear him for a while. Let's hope and pray.
Deric,
Derico?
Can we get you? Yay!
Lads, I'll tell you, the wind and the rain are hitting so hard. They've got into the mic, they've got into all our gear, so apologies for earlier on. But here we are, we're up and running despite all the really bad weather conditions. We're here at Rush Beach in North County, Dublin this morning. We're talking about coastal erosion and dune protection. What a morning to be doing it. Good morning, guys. Good morning. The poor creators, they are getting soaked here in the rain, but we're going to be catching up with some of the Clean Coast volunteers here in and around 8:45. Can you look at my pants? Look, guys. Look, it's got through my trousers and everything. We're soaked. Welcome to Irish weather. Back to studio.
I only said it to wear. Look, he's drenched. Oh, my God.
He hasn't had a Biogonin accident, Timpishta. Biogonin Timpishta. He hasn't. No Timpishta there. It's the rain.
Oh, poor Deric.
The poor thing, fair play. He is
God.
a trooper. And thank you to everyone, all of the volunteers who went down today in this terrible weather. And also just in the front of the mirror, they're now saying Paddy Keelty is going to get the Late Late job. Everybody in the
entire world is getting the Late Late Show.
He's behind Claire, so it's Claire Byrne and now Patrick Keelty.
But does anybody even ask Claire Byrne, does she want to do it? Like, you know, Claire, would you like to do the Late Late Show? Like, everybody putting money on her.
We're discussing it. Claire, is there any chance do you want to do it?
Do you want to do it?
You want it? Do you actually want to do
exactly.
that?
People might want to do it.
But sure, isn't it great that we all have something to talk about bar the weather?
Well,
it's up there with the weather now.
Well, it certainly is. The weather, well, today's weather, poor Deric down in Rush.
Bank holiday, and it's going to be freezing tonight.
And -2 tonight. Lads, why do we live in this country?
Because
we love it.
Because we love it.
Earlier on we were talking about Carol Vorderman. I'm a Celeb. Africa takes place tonight. It's on Virgin Media. Kicks off tonight. This is like an all-star I'm a Celeb, where they took previous winners and people who competed and they put them down in Africa. And it's all recorded. We South Africa. So we know there's a winner. We don't know who it is, obviously. But Carol Vorderman said that she'd lied about some of her phobias the last time she went in, which just makes sense. Like, you know, just lie about
I'm
it.
assuming most of them do that.
So we found out this morning that Muireann has a phobia of
Ducks.
ducks.
I don't know if it's not specific. They freak me out. I don't even eat them.
So if you're walking by a pond and there's loads of ducks, do you run away? Is it a fear of them or an actual phobia where it's like intense?
I used to like walk through a park if there were ducks there, but now I do. Like, I'm not going to not go to People's Park in Limerick. Are there any ducks there? Or
Stephen's Green.
Or Stephen's Green, yeah. I'll walk through now. But I didn't for the first 2 years that I lived in Dublin.
Really?
Near Stephen's.
Because you've heard, there's ducks there?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think they're going to do to you?
Bite me.
Bite me.
So let's talk about other people. Brenda has she's got something that's called ranidaphobia, sorry, which means I'm terrified of frogs. I can't even look at them. I get that. Beady eyes.
Frogs.
Beady eyes.
I love this, Anita. Anita, I think you win today. Anita has a fear of flip-flops. Flip-flops. I can't even put them near my feet. I've tried and I nearly lost the plot. Anita, flip-flops, you're going straight up to number one.
You're number one.
You are
win.
number one this
you're number
morning.
one.
Flip-flops.
Well, think about it. It's a weird feeling between the toes. How many times have you hurt your toes when you've been wearing flip-flops? I get it. And feet are disgusting.
But a fear of them.
Can you handle Birkenstocks? Are they okay? Fear of flip-flops. Can you beat that one? 0896 111
Well,
111.
nearly, Dara, a fear of the Oompa Loompas from the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think that might go to number one. Look, well, that's a very easy... That's an easy one.
So what happens when you see all the children with fake tan when they're doing their communions coming towards you? You're like, it's a real life Oompa Loompa.
Just don't watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Dara, and I think you'll be okay on that one.
Oh, that's
but
brilliant.
Fear of the Oompa Loompas, maybe that goes to number one. Flip-flops
I don't know. I think
two.
flip-flops is still
Flip-flops
worse.
probably get it, yeah.
Let us know. 0896 111 111. Oh my God, communion must be a scary time, my friend. We would love to hear more of your phobias, even if there's people at home being, that's not a real phobia. Go for it. We don't care. We just want to hear it.
We want to hear it because Aisling as well, she can't walk through Dublin because of the seagulls. Now, that is a problem with a lot of people.
Now,
especially if you live around Malahide or Howth or whatever.
They'd move into your house. They'd become squatters. They'd be like, I'm not getting out of here. That's not what's going to happen. I totally get that.
Oh, okay.
Now, we'd love to hear from you on that. But after the break, from the championship to chopping off his signature locks. If you haven't seen Mayo footballer Padraig O'Hora, you wouldn't... Like, he can walk down Ballina now without people recognising him because of what he's done. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. Welcome back. Now, he's sporting a very different look these days, but Mayo man Padraig O'Hora is assuring fans his GAA skills are still intact. This is not a Samson cutting off the hair situation. It's fine.
Ahead at the start of the All-Ireland Championships, Padraig joins us now. Good morning to you. Like, all the things that we could be talking to you about this morning, we're talking about your hair. Because it is a massive feature of you. Tell us why you cut it.
It's a little bit trivial, isn't it? When we could be talking about loads of other stuff, but yeah, sure. It was getting too long. There was an ongoing kind of joke in our house. There's a few girls, and I had the longest hair, so it was kind of getting to the point where I had to go. And then my missus pointed out the Locks of Love fundraisers that Laura Lynn run.
Now this is look at the length of this, lads. I mean, that is something else.
Small change.
Like, I saw you outside. Did Paddy Andrews recognise you when he was here?
Well, he either blanked me or he didn't
He
recognise
blanked me or didn't recognise you. That's it.
He just ploughed on.
Because the hair was... Like, Padraig, we all knew you from your hair. In Mayo now, can you walk down the road and people mightn't recognise you?
Relatively. All the kids from Instagram, because they would have, like, stayed online and voted and stuff like that, they're locked in. But anybody a bit older there, no, I'm getting away with it. It's great.
Because you did do something crazy on Instagram. You let people decide what you were going to do with your hair.
I did, yeah.
All for Laura Lynn.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually a lovely thing to do.
It's a lovely idea,
And
yeah.
it was kind of over the Christmas and, you know, it's kind of the dark nights and the forum's a little bit down in January. So it was a lovely thing to do and, like, everybody kind of rode in behind it. So, yeah, I was very, very happy with it. And I was fortunate enough to go over and see the hospice too and meet some of the staff, and they are some of the most incredible people.
Yeah, it's an amazing place, isn't it? We've been there so many times. It is
unbelievable now, yeah.
Like, I always sort of say, I actually leave that place with a smile on my face because the amount of love and joy that that place brings to the children is amazing.
It's amazing what they do. Yeah, it's a really humbling experience. Of course, you have that, you know, the dark side of what they have to deal with, but the way in which they do it is amazing. And I'm sure as a parent myself, like, if you were ever in such a tough circumstance, to have people and a service like that is amazing.
And you are a father of 3 children, a 10-year-old, 5-year-old, and 11-month-old.
Yes.
Did they know who?
Yes.
Did they know who you were when you walked in the door? Like, it's a big change.
It's a big change, yeah. The young fella was he made me put in the Ronaldinho, the old little bit at the front, the Ronaldo haircut. So that was his go. And then the 5-year-old, she just didn't like it. It was just go and put it back, really.
Oh, God,
it's a statement,
really?
you know.
Put your hair back.
Put your hair back, Daddy.
Put it back.
It's so funny because you look so different. I think we've got a picture here, and I don't know why you didn't take to this. You're like a school administrator, I think, with this fabulous bob that you have. I hope that we've got the picture here that we can show people. You just look.
No,
hopefully
we do.
we'll see that
We
picture
do.
in a second. We do have it.
Where was this partly there, and then you went the full
thing?
thing?
You cut a bob at some
cut
stage,
the bob.
yeah.
Well, no, the girls in the place, so they tie up the hair and get the ponytail, and then they cut
so that was
kind of what was left there. Yeah,
right.
There are other things to talk about,
yes,
of course, since you've done all
Far
this.
more important thing.
Mayo won the league.
We did.
We did.
We did.
And we were just talking about that because already we're into the championship, you know, talking about you haven't played Roscommon, everything like that. Do you feel like the league is a little bit overlooked?
Yeah, it ran very quickly away, I suppose, because we went in championship the week after, maybe even more so. But yeah, I think some people probably undervalue the league, whereas like it's a huge competition. It's a brilliant competition too. And we're very happy to have won it. We didn't win one in 19, but we didn't win one since 2001 prior to that. So, do you know, it's a brilliant campaign, so we're delighted with it.
Delighted with winning.
Did you not feel that it gets the recognition in the country? But for the local people there, that's a massive thing then.
Absolutely, yeah. And for the players and everybody involved, it's a huge thing. It's a national title, and it's important. And I think it did, especially this year. I think the way it was, there was a little bit of conversation around in the media, kind of saying, oh, maybe some people don't want to win the league, or they don't want to. Like, we certainly did want to win the league.
Why would you not want to win a league championship?
Beats me. Like, you want to win every game, from what I gather, anyway. Nobody's told me any different yet.
With these crazy narratives that come up. But the pressure has been on Mayo for decades. We all know that. I'm from Limerick. When it came to the hurling, we had that monkey on our back for such a long time. And now everyone's like, sure, Joe Biden was in Ballina, your hometown. Where you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, we were there for a wee while, all right, yeah.
A wee while. He took a while to get there. It was a long old day.
It was a no panic, that man.
No, he wasn't. It was a long old day. He said Mayo for Sam.
He did.
So he did.
He did. Whoever wrote the speech knew what they were at. He knew how to get the back into the crowd anyway.
Well, I'm telling you, that cheer that went up in relation to all of this.
What was the atmosphere like there that day?
Unbelievable, really? Yeah. Even in the lead up to it now, in fairness. Like, it's crazy to even step back and think, arguably the most powerful man in the world is coming to a town of maybe 12,000 people in the west coast of Ireland. Like, so it was brilliant. And in fairness, I think Ballina done himself dues too. It looked insane.
It looked like a presidential campaign launch, nearly. He was nearly launching. He's going back to say, I'm running again. Look what I did in Ballina.
Yeah, it did. But even like behind the scenes stuff, like all of that was voluntary work from community groups and stuff in Ballina. The way the community gets together is, like, honestly, we're very, very fortunate in that sense. So a lot of people deserve a lot of credit for even making it run so smoothly. And
you are involved in an awful lot in relation to the communities and bringing them together, and so many things that you do, right? It's very important to you.
Incredibly important, yeah. We do a lot on inclusion and diversity, and that's, I suppose, why I'm here today and why I'm part of the Super Value campaign. The community includes everybody. Because it is so close to the heart that inclusion and diversity is important, not only in sport, but also in our community. And it is kind of, I do think the GA is a fabulous way forward for bringing people into Ireland, regardless of where you're from. It's a grassroots all-Ireland organisation for both boys and girls, or whatever gender you are. Can you feel that there's an important role to play for the GAA? Yeah, absolutely. And credit where credit's due too, I think the GAA in regards to sports is probably at the forefront of that. It is so community-based. It is inclusive. There's obviously more work that needs to be done. There are more questions that need to be answered, and like, the world has changed and we kind of need to change with it. But I just think it's a wonderful place. I've heard different stories from people coming to Ireland. it's a wonderful place to go and connect regardless of your skill level or ethnicity or whatever, and to build bonds and relationships and get engaged in the community. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and especially with the diversity of it, to encourage diversity in these sports at the moment. Like, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
For you now, you have been, as someone, and I know with the Mayo team, you've gotten a lot of slack over the years. You take it on. It was great to hear you say, you know, it's important for the league. You're open about, you know, mental health struggles and all that kind of stuff. Was that important for you when you are involved in the community, that people know these things, that it is tough sometimes when you're kind of held in this high esteem?
Yeah, I suppose that kind of happened organically through talking with Lee that time and stuff. It wasn't probably something I was going to push out into the media realm or whatever. But since that did happen, it had a lot of positives too. It's opened up a lot of conversations. A lot of people have come to me, and I work with Mayo Mental Health Association alongside the youth justice work. So I see this on a kind of daily basis. And as a role model, I suppose, through football, it is important that people kind of see it, because a lot of young people do look up to you, whether good, bad or indifferent. So, but like, it is important, I think, that they see that everybody kind of struggles. And I did find it very, very difficult in regards to opening up and speaking about it originally, because people do look at me and assume that I suppose I kind of have my stuff in order, or they build you up to be a tough, resilient person, or whatever that narrative is built around you, whether that's true or not. Like, you still have really, really tough days. Like, and
are you still having tough days? Do you still go to counselling? Are you still involved in that? Are you still?
Well, I just continued
working through it.
Yeah, I just didn't see. From starting then, and I got a bit of medical intervention at the time, and then like that through the doctor, and then started the counselling, and then that it kind of became apparent that it's a journey and it continues on. And even when you're in the best form, and I'm in a good vein of form, thankfully, like everything is fairly good at the moment. I've nothing to complain about. But I just wouldn't see why you'd then stop. What's supporting that? You know, instead of being proactive, instead of waiting for something to happen and then reacting to it.
It's amazing. It's fabulous what you've been able to do, and more people from a sporting community doing this for younger people. Finally, not the greatest opener to the championship. How are you feeling about this year?
Yes, no, definitely not the greatest opening. We wanted to win that game, of course.
Against Roscommon,
You want to win every game, especially against the neighbours. But look, it is what it is. There's a couple of routes to get to the end goal.
Absolutely, yes, it'll go on
So
ahead.
we'll take the hand we're dealt, and we'll tip away. We've got a round-robin game against one of the provincial champions. It will be our first game. So we're looking forward to that. And we've got a few weeks to kind of get ourselves together. Maybe it might be a blessing in disguise. We'll see.
There you go. And league champions, by the way.
There we go.
Let's not forget that.
Let's not forget that. Yeah.
And also, Padraig is growing his hair, as he said. He's growing it again. 2 years, it'll be back. That's the plan.
So it's the Super Value, the sponsorship of the GA All-Ireland Senior Football Championship, and its community includes everyone campaign. Hashtag that. So
Padraig O'Hora,
that's
thank
great.
you so much for
Thanks
joining
very much for having me.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Cheers. Welcome back now from periods to libido and the menopause. Our hormones have a crucial role to play in our overall health and well-being. But in saying all that, you're probably thinking, well, this is just in relation to women. It's not, of course. Men have hormones too. Here to discuss is consultant endocrinologist Dr. Mary Ryan. Mary, it's lovely to have you here. Thank you
very
so much.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, what is an endocrinologist? What do you deal with? Hormones, obviously.
Yes, so endocrinology is the science of hormones. Hormones are these amazing chemical messengers that are produced, and they control everything. They control muscles, they control our moods, our desires, our emotions, our sleep, our hunger, whether we eat, whether we don't eat. They're incredible. And I felt that the reason I wrote the book was I felt people didn't understand hormones, because we as doctors are always saying you should eat healthily, you should sleep, you should, try to de-stress as much as you can, because we control our hormones so much by how we live. So eating healthily has a huge influence in your cortisol levels, in your serotonin levels, which are the happy hormones. If you overdo, so this little hormone controls here on the top of the head called the pituitary gland, controls everything.
The pituitary gland.
Pituitary gland.
Because we've got pituitary, the thyroid.
The thyroid.
Right? We've got hormone systems.
Absolutely, hormone systems. And they all need a little chemical messenger called a hormone to make them work. And there's a lovely circadian rhythm going on, that there's a positive and negative feedback system, but this is the conductor of the orchestra. So if that's well recharged, that does everything beautifully.
The pituitary gland?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the main one?
Absolutely. So it's like your phone. If you didn't charge it last night, it's not going to work very well today. So we're the very same way. So I think we forget that, and particularly, you know, in this real full life, we forget that we have to do the basic things right, like eat healthily, get your sleep, pace, not overdo it, listen to your body.
Yeah.
Because it's great at regulating if you allow yourself
We
to
allow
do
it. Of course,
Yes.
the modern world is a different thing. You do have a book,
Absolutely.
it's probably your hormones. But when we talk about this, an awful lot of the time, it's women are so hormonal. We all have a pituitary gland.
Yes, yes.
So men and women are
yeah.
dictated by their hormones.
Very much so, very much so. And, you know, people forget that. And when we've off days and we say we're hormonal, yes, we are hormonal. And, you know, in men, it could be that they're overtired, that they had a bad flu, and that put their whole hormones out of...
A man flu would knock you for six, sure. Yeah.
And then in women, yes, it could be a period cycle. Remember, we've got a period cycle going on from the age of 12 to beyond 50 that men don't have. So we've to be extra cautious about recharging because we've got 4 hormones, FSH, LH, estrogen, progesterone going on every day for 28 days of every month, of every year.
Yeah.
So we just have to be extra careful, and you might have a very heavy cycle that might put hormones off, make the pituitary overtired. You might have a PMS. A lot of women suffering from PMS, premenstrual syndrome, where they get very emotional at the mid-cycle or even coming up to the period. So all this has to be allowed for.
I was reading a book recently. It was a thriller series by Jane Casey, and her partner, the main character's partner, she's a woman and he's a man. And he's like, no, get some chocolate today, because he knows her cycle better than she knows her cycle.
Which is fantastic.
And that, because he's like, no, you always get a bit cranky, get this.
Yeah.
That is true, I would assume, that there is, like, it with all these hormones raging on what could be a 28-day cycle.
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
You're absolutely all over the place. And I think as women in particular, and men, we were inclined to sort of be hard on ourselves. I remember when I was pregnant with my twins, I stopped off to get a steak very early on. And that obviously was my hormones telling me I needed it, you know, because the twin boys were taking all the iron out of me. So, you know, we need to listen to our bodies more. We're inclined to be hard on ourselves. I think particularly women, we need to stop doing that. Like when you're tired, you sit if you can.
Yeah.
We've got to stop this constantly pushing ourselves, because all we're doing is making that whole hormonal system tireder and upping our cortisol levels and our adrenaline levels, and just, you know, everything is fighting against each other then.
Dr. Mary Ryan's going to stay with us in just a little while and answer any of your questions that you might possibly have in relation to your hormones. If there's something that you'd like to get in, it's 0896 111 111. So what are the most common issues that someone would have to see you for when there is an issue with hormones?
So thyroid hormone is the big one. So if your thyroid hormone is overactive, as you said, the gland in the neck, right here, right here, yeah. So overactive means you've losing weight, you have palpitations, you feel very, very irritable, very, very common in women actually. And underactive thyroid, then when you're putting on weight, periods when both will go away, they'll get very heavy or very irregular, and you might notice lymphedema. So that would be thyroid, yes?
Yeah.
And then the other ones that we commonly see would be like high prolactin levels in women. So prolactin is a little hormone here.
Right.
And basically it goes with stress. So if we get stressed, your prolactin level goes up, but that'll actually put out your cycle. So it'll inhibit ovulation. So if we women get stressed, yeah, it can inhibit ovulation. Or if we don't eat enough, or if we, you know, the body is brilliant at shutting off hormones. So if we don't eat enough, we will shut off hormones and not have a period, things like this. So we would see a lot of different things like that. Or, if, for example, if you get overtired, that's a very common one, men and women getting overtired. This gland gets exhausted, you get aches and pains in the muscles. Remember, hormones control the muscles. People get so tired that they get energy levels of 2 out of 10, and they're all saying, oh God, it must be in my head.
So I'm just thinking of, like, friends of mine who are parents of young ones, and they're
we see
so
this.
tired.
Yeah.
So that manifests itself with aches and pains all over the body.
In the muscles, absolutely, not sleeping well, because once the hormones go off, your sleep goes off. Yeah.
So even though you're overtired, you're not going to be able to sleep.
Absolutely, because your adrenaline levels are pumping, your melatonin levels are affected. That's the sleep hormone. So once the hormones are off, you don't sleep right. So it becomes a vicious circle. And you get parents coming in, and they could be energy levels of 2 out of 10. They're dragging themselves. They have young kids. They're trying to work full time, and it's becoming a vicious circle. They've got headaches, aches and pains, not sleeping, restless legs, and it's to regulate this and get it sorted, because otherwise it just becomes a chronic thing.
You just said restless legs, and I'm just thinking of all the people I know who are always like this and itching everything.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
So basically, you examine the patient, check the bloods, make sure all hormones are fine.
Yeah.
If there's a hormone imbalance, you settle it. But you also give them lifestyle advice, and that's the big thing. It's to tell them to sit. People are terrible when they get 2 out of 10. They say, oh, I've got to keep going, particularly this generation. Feel, oh my God, I can't stop. I've got to prove myself. turn the gaze on yourself, love yourself, you know, give yourself some time, listen to your body, you know, realise your self-worth.
So you're kind of looking, you like to look at things holistically. It's not just let's throw you on a pill, let's go and see what's happening in your life.
And all doctors do really, because we can't just look at the one picture. We've got to look at diet, lifestyle, because it all interlinks, particularly with hormonal health.
Because it's probably your hormones, as your book said. That is actually fascinating. That's getting there. You also are the host of the Empowering Women podcast. We'll talk more about that in just a little while. The book is called It's Probably Your Hormones. This is fascinating. If you have a question, when you said restless legs there, I was like, that's to do with my pituitary. What? So 0896 111 111. If you've got a question, we've got an endocrinologist here, guys. Would you like to use Dr. Mary Ryan for good in your life? We'd love to get those questions in, and we'll be talking about them after 9 o'clock. Dr. Mary Ryan, thank you for joining us so much this morning.
Not at all. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Now, after the break, Deric is on a Clean Coast initiative in North County Dublin. We'll talk to you shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, we've asked Deric to clean up his act this morning. He's on a mission to save the planet. But the rain was belting down earlier on. Deric, how are you getting on? Is the rain still belting down there?
Proper eco-warriors here this morning. We're getting hit, we're getting belted out of it by the wind and the rain. A little bit of a breather now, thankfully. Anyway, we're joined now by Anya Lawless from Clean Coast and...
Brendan O'Reilly.
Brendan O'Reilly, yes, Brendan, sorry. Brendan O'Reilly from Rush Tidy Towns, also involved in the Clean Coast as well. And Anya, we'll start with you. Tell us about the initiative here to save the dunes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sarah and Brendan in the Tidy Towns and the local Clean Coast group reached out to us, and they were a bit concerned about the state of the dunes here in Rush just because of local recent storm events. There was some blowouts and kind of quite bare sections of the dunes, and they were worried about coastal erosion. So we said we'd come out and we could do a bit of a survey of the dunes and see what we could do, and we decided to run a bit of a marram grass planting pilot project here to see if we could help shore up the eroded areas of the dunes with some basically transplanting the marram grass from a healthy area of the dunes out at the back into these sort of eroded parts of the front to try and grow some fresh.
So it's kind of like transplanting hair, really, isn't it?
It is a little bit, yeah. Basically, like taking the grass from small sections of the grass from out the back where there's no sort of wind or the tides or anything affecting it into these front areas that have been damaged by the recent storms.
Now, the type of grass itself that you're transplanting in, is this local grass to the area itself?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's from the same dune system, actually. So it's the marram grass, and you'll know it if you're kind of familiar with coastal areas. You'll know that kind of like long, spiky grass, the marram grass, and you can probably see it as well. So yeah, it's absolutely local grass, and it's best to do this with the local grass, and it takes better.
But it takes a bit of time then for it to settle in. So it's not just you plant it and you leave it and off it grows. It takes a couple of months to actually bed in.
Exactly, and I'd say that's kind of why this is a pilot. We're like seeing if it'll take well. So it'll take probably around September time. If this has all worked well, we'll see some progress there. We'll see some fresh sprouts coming up, and the roots will have dug down into the dunes then, and they'll start binding together and holding the dune firm then.
Absolutely. Now, Brendan, you're here with the local Tidy Town. I have to say there's a massive volunteer effort here, isn't there?
Absolutely. We're very lucky to have so many committed volunteers, and you can see even in a rainy morning like this, Deric, we've got an army of them out here.
Yes. A very busy one for you at the moment, because not only are you hugely involved in the Tidy Towns, and I passed through Rush this morning, you've kept it so well, but the beach here is part of the local community too.
Absolutely. Like the beach, I suppose after COVID or during COVID, we realised on our doorstep we have this fantastic amenity, our two beaches, North and South Beach, and I suppose we you know, when people were limited to the 2 kilometre limit, they were out in their droves then, of course, walking the beach, and we had an exceptional amount of people come forward to become litter pickers for us. So in a way, there was an upside to that to some degree, and people have continued to do that also.
I suppose lockdown played in your favour because so many people signed up to the local initiative, get involved in Tidy Towns, but also in the Clean Coast.
Absolutely, and it is so important for people to do that, of course, because at the end of the day, somebody has to do it, and you can see the results here. We have a pristine beach before us.
Absolutely, and litter as well is a big problem on the beach, but the volunteers are hands-on and they get stuck in.
It can be, of course, yeah. I mean, obviously it's very important for us because every bit of marine litter we actually remove from the beach is potentially something taken out of the food chain. That's very important, notwithstanding the fact, of course, that we do like to keep the dunes clean. Now, we do have a number of different people, we have people who actually walk the beach on a daily basis, picking litter. We arrange some large-scale tidy-ups also, where we do a deep clean of the dunes, the rocks, and then we have lots of classes, like the under-15 Rush Athletic girls come out here recently to do a clean-up, and companies even come forward to do that. So we're very lucky that we've got all these different types of model we use, and of course all this supported by Antashka through grants, so we can have lots of equipment at our disposal as well.
A great initiative by the local community. Anya, a very sad fact that many people will not know is that there's going to be potentially more plastic in the sea than fish by 2050. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a terrifying statistic. So actually we're seeing that approximately 10 million tonnes of litter is released into the world's oceans every year, and that's a very scary figure. So what we want to do in Clean Coast is basically prevent as much as possible getting into the ocean in the first place. Obviously there's a lot out there, and there's initiatives out there to try and clean up the litter that's already in the ocean. What we want to do is try and stop any more getting out there.
Yeah, are we fighting a losing battle here?
I think, look, it's there's a lot out there. It's a huge problem, but if we can stop the problem getting any worse, then we can start to solve the problem. So this idea of community groups getting out there and doing these big cleanups along the coastline is huge. Like, we've got 3,000 kilometres of coastline in Ireland, so, and I think we say now that we have just over 2,000 community groups involved in Clean Coast, and that's about one group every 5 kilometres.
And for any groups looking to get planting their local dunes, you said every dune is different. It has a different system, a different eco, different habitat.
Yeah, so the dune systems are obviously incredible. They're so valuable to the local coastline and to preventing coastal erosion. But like I said, every dune system is different, and they require different, if any, intervention. So in Rush, we decided it would be a good idea to try the marram grass planting here. In other places, it might be installing something like chestnut fencing, or it could be just some like an awareness campaign. So I think if anyone's interested in doing this in their own area, reach out to us, and we can try and give you some advice on what would be best.
Right, so there you have it, guys. Cleancoast.org is the place to touch base online if you want to get involved as well. From all our eco warriors here, the rain is coming down. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Anya. Back to you guys in studio.
Fair play to them all there, Deric, this morning, because the weather has been shocking there right throughout the morning, but it looks like it's clearing up there. Now, after 9, Dr. Mary Ryan has stuck around to answer your questions on hormone health. Plus, in the kitchen, we've got dumplings with an Italian twist. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hello, welcome back to the final hour of Ireland AM, and we still have lots more in store.
We certainly do now. Dr. Mary Ryan has stayed with us to answer all your questions regarding hormone health, and we've got loads in already. Now, if you have a particular query you need answered, well, you can text us now on 0896 111 111.
Absolutely.
That's about 20 past 9, yeah?
Yes.
20 past 9. Yeah.
Hormone health. And here with the latest from the world of showbiz, including the return of I'm a Celebrity, is Ali Ryan. Hello, Ali. What are we going to be talking about later on?
I have so much to talk about. Lots of big celebrity relationship goss, including Joe Alwyn and Taylor Swift, who they are dating now. All the I'm a Celebrity news and some updates on Emily Ratajkowski and Harry Styles' relationship too.
I mean, these celebs, they break up and they're with someone new 5 seconds later.
But no, the best one is your man Chalamet and Kylie.
Sorry?
Do you not know this one?
Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. Of course I know. There's only so much I can fit in.
That's the biggest news.
There's lots of new couples in Hollywood.
Klingon for a second. I was like, Chalamet?
Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner.
I was like, Chalamet is back from the Bible? What's he talking about? Timothy Chalamet. Right,
I think he's fabulous.
We'll
I think he's fabulous. Are we doing that one? No.
Okay. We'll do it now.
All right, we'll do it now. From the pages of Vogue to a studio in Ballymount, Erin Bunting is making our Ireland AM debut this morning. Erin, good morning to you.
Hi. We're making some wild garlic malfatti, which are ricotta dumplings, Italian ricotta dumplings, with a rich tomato sauce, some toasted walnuts, and some beautiful little wild garlic flowers.
And Erin hasn't slagged in any way, shape, or form the fact that she's been in American Vogue, which is edited by Anna Wintour, and now she's here with this wonderful floor. It's the same thing.
Yeah, basically, you know, from Vogue to
Ireland AM.
Yeah,
Vogue to Ballymount.
I mean, we're basically the same. Virgin Media Television.
We're better. And Deric is live in Rush this morning. Deric, is it still raining?
Oh, yes, Sal, it's still coming down here this morning, but we've got one of our youngest eco-warriors, our Clean Coast warrior here this morning. Killian, what have you been doing over the last hour or so?
I've been planting some grass to save the dunes.
Save the dunes, good boy. What age are you, by the way?
8.
You're 8, and do you want to say hello? Who do you want to say hello to?
My 2 lovely teachers, Miss Shield and Miss McAvoy.
And they're in the National School, Rush National School.
Yeah.
Prefab job. He's going to be late for school, by the way. He'll be with you. Give them a wave at about 9:30. He's working hard here this morning. Back to you in the studio. Come back, Killian.
Great work. You're allowed to be late this morning because it's all for a good cause. God, Deric's earning his money this morning, I tell you.
Sweet mother God.
Since 7 o'clock, it's been belting down with rain and Rush there all morning. Yeah. And to all those volunteers, thank you so much for coming out as well.
Absolutely. We're talking to Mikhail, one of our camera people. He drove over from Sligo this morning in the belting, bucketing rain the whole way over to Dublin. So please be careful on the roads when you see that rain.
Lovely country we live in, if only you had a roof. I tell you.
Don't give Elon Musk ideas. Don't do it.
I'm telling you. Now, earlier on, we were chatting about Carol Vorderman and the launch of I'm a Celebrity. It's like an all-star celebrity that they shot in South Africa, which starts on Virgin Media tonight. And she was saying that she lied about her phobias. And that got us asking you, what is your phobias? Well, I think at the moment, is it number 1 or 2? Flip-flops?
Flip-flop.
Flip-flops. And then Oompa Loompas. So we're going with that as maybe joint 1 and 2.
Which, when you live in Ireland with how badly we put on fake tan, I'm like, that's just terrifying trying to walk around the streets. How about this? I've got a phobia of peas. I can't look at them even in a photograph. If my friends have peas on their plate, I have to block them with a menu or condiments so I can't see them. I'm almost 70 and I've been like this since I was a toddler. Imagine putting up the border between it so that you can't see the peas.
Now, I have to say, my husband, Carl, is like that with red sauce, tomato ketchup. If anybody is literally putting tomato ketchup on a meal when we're out, he's gone. He's literally, please take that away from me.
I can't be dealing.
Can't be dealing.
Yeah.
Are you the same, but a bit like red sauce?
No, Rob, which we did say earlier on, that phobias and fears, different things. There's a difference between fears and phobias. Phobias are much more serious. People are just exaggerating half the time. We did say that earlier.
We did say that. Now, because Mirren's is ducks.
Ducks. Yeah.
She doesn't like them.
Don't like them. Don't like them.
Doesn't like the ducks.
Aidan,
have you ever fed one?
That's why I've got a fear of them, because I was trying to feed one once.
And it bit you?
And it just came from it. It backed me into a corner. It came into my aunt's house and just backed me into a corner, and they found me shivering in the corner. I was 4 years old going,
But you were only 4.
And I wake up at night and can I hear quack, quack, quack. I'm joking. I was 4 years old and this duck attacked me.
Oh, my God.
And Aidan, I work with someone who had a fear of bananas. He came out in sweats and would scream like he's been chased by a lion. The worst part is that someone will put one on his desk during the working day at different times.
Oh, my God, that's terrible. Imagine coming back from work and your lunch break and there's a banana. But I mean...
You know I'm getting a duck for Christmas off this fella. Like, that's what he's going to try to do.
Just pictures of ducks everywhere now tomorrow morning when you come in. Jellyfish. Now, I can understand Vicky's here. I'd have a fear of a jellyfish
Creepy.
as well.
They're like from a different world.
Yeah,
I
have a major fear of jellyfish. A friend of mine was stung last year and said, it was grand, it's just like a nettle sting. He said, it's just the fear of the unknown and you should try and get stung yourself. I think I need new friends. Yeah, just go in there and get stung by the jellyfish.
Well, they always say that you have to confront and face your fears, isn't it? Like the people who have a fear of flying, that you've got to go on that plane, or fear of heights, you've got to go up into that tall building, which I just think is mean.
But I don't want to get into the sea and be stung by a jellyfish just to confront. Like, I prefer just to avoid them. And is it true that you have to pee on yourself, or someone has to pee on you if you get stung by a jellyfish?
Yeah, I take all my medical advice from friends. That's it. That's all. I take all of my medical advice from Joey, Chandler and Monica on Friends. So next, Dr. Mary Ryan, our endocrinologist. We won't be
doing that. That was just in Friends.
We're just going to see what Monica, Chandler and Joey think rather than talking to Mary Ryan. What you think? That's it.
That's it.
That's all false. That's not a real thing about the urine. Because up next, we do have a doctor in the house.
Maybe she could tell us.
She's going to be answering your questions on hormone health. We'll talk to you very
shortly. See you after this.
Welcome back. Consultant endocrinologist Dr. Mary Ryan, author of It's Probably Your Hormones, has stayed with us to answer your questions. Right,
Mary, let's get straight into the questions. So many have come in. Our first one is, I have a daughter who has just turned 16 and has no period. She's had blood tests which showed very high levels of FSH. What should we do now? So tell us what FSH is
that's
first.
A follicular stimulating hormone that controls the ovaries. It drives the egg production in the ovaries, and it's very much linked to the period cycle. So in that case, I would definitely be taking her. She needs further investigation just to check out all the hormones. It could be there could be a problem with the ovaries, but it could be something that's settled, and there could be a thyroid problem. But there's a definite problem that needs to be investigated.
Because if she's already been shown to have high FSH, H,
levels, yes.
Surely the doctor was like, OK, we need to do something about this now.
Yeah. So she needs to, for further investigation, prolactin levels, estrogen levels, progesterone levels all need to be checked. Her ovaries need to be checked. So there is further investigation needed there, definitely.
This is one, it's in from a woman who says, I'm 43, I can't concentrate at work or think clearly anymore. I think a lot of people will relate to that brain fog. I'm forgetful all the time. What could be causing this?
So that could well be perimenopause. It could well be, which is that 5 years before you lose the period, where the hormones, or the 4 hormones we spoke about earlier, are sort of going all over the place, and this gland is getting tired, and as a result, hormones are down at every nerve muscle junction. You're not sleeping well, and that's affecting you. So it could be that, and the estrogen levels changing can affect memory as well. So there could be that, but it could also just be overtired. So when men and women get overtired, this gland gets tired. Hormones control everything, memory, everything. So therefore, it could be just that. It could well be a thyroid problem as well. But at that age of 43, you'd be thinking maybe in perimenopause, or it could be just her cycle is out. If a woman gets a very heavy cycle, you know, it should be 3-4 days, say it's 7 days, that could knock her whole hormonal system out of whack.
And if it is perimenopause, and I know it's a scary thing for so many people, but it's coming for...
It's no longer scary,
thank God. No, it's but with that, HRT can often
HRT, but even just at that stage 43, just making lifestyle changes, taking natural supplements can help. You wouldn't add that until later on, unless they needed it.
All right.
I mean, we were talking about all morning. We talked about earlier on that a lot of people would think that hormones are only affecting women. It's not. Like an imbalance of hormones can have a bad effect on men also.
Absolutely, men and women.
And
because hormones control all of us.
We got a message here from a man who says, "What can I do for bad anxiety and panic attacks?"
Yes, so that means that again, a very common symptom of being very tired, because the cortisol levels, which are produced by the adrenal glands, can be very, very low. If you get very overtired, that can cause severe anxiety, and you can have very high adrenaline levels, so you get palpitations, not sleeping at night. And of course, that becomes a vicious circle then, because the more you don't sleep, the worse it gets. So medical treatment can do very well for controlling that, but also the holistic approach about looking at diet, lifestyle, is it low in sugar? Because all that insulin high sugar peaks can affect your cortisol levels. So having the diet good, less in sugar, getting the sleep, but obviously sorting the hormones out, making sure the person can sleep, getting rid of the aches and pains, that's going to help hugely and help with the anxiety and cortisol. But also looking at their lifestyle, what can we do to maybe more meditation, more gratitude? I love that holistic approach, because it does generally help the whole hormone imbalance as well as looking at the diet. So I think as endocrinologists and doctors, we're more into looking at the whole balance, not just being prescribers, but there's so much we can do for ourselves by getting the diet right, cutting the sugar down, and making sure we reduce caffeine, for example, which so many people drink excess caffeine, and making sure we get sleep, and maybe more sleep some nights that we're overtired.
In all of your thing, you're mentioning sugar a lot. Is sugar just a big thing in this?
Yeah, we see it all the time in endocrinology, that if you're eating too much sugar, you're completely affecting the whole insulin cortisol ratio, and that definitely affects stress. And we see that around, people doing exams. Myself, we all tend to do too much caffeine, too much sugar, and you crash right afterwards. It really has a huge effect. So I think just keeping it simple, having the 3 healthy meals a day. Of course, have a little snack, but not too much. That's the secret.
You were talking earlier about aches and pains and it all being pituitary gland here. And one thing you mentioned was restless legs. I'm finding I can't stop itching at the moment. Could this be down to my hormones? You know, when you're like that?
Yes, absolutely. So if, for example, women at menopause, because the FSH level has gone up and the pituitary gland is exhausted and hormones are down at every nerve muscle junction, they get very restless legs, and that affects their sleep, But you can also get it after a viral infection, because the viral, like COVID, can hammer this gland, and you can get restless legs, and that would be one of the symptoms. So a lot of people would get, after a very bad viral infection, or even being overtired, they would get restless legs. And remember, this is that far away from the master control gland, so that's why the legs are more affected. But the restless legs affects the sleep. People also get alarmed because they think, oh my God, I'm losing it, where they're not. It's just a hormone imbalance, and that's the reality.
Some more questions here. Why do I feel so bad after giving birth? I'm tired all the time. I can't sleep. I'm gaining weight. I'm feeling down, even though I should be happy. That sounds like postnatal depression here.
Yeah, but I suppose I, as an endocrinologist, would love postnatal depression. I had given gave birth to 3 children. After having a child, your hormones are over the place. You've come through a 9-month of pregnancy. You haven't slept properly for the previous 2 months because you're so big and you can't get comfortable. So a lot of it is just that you're tired. And a lot of women are very hard on themselves. They don't take breaks. They expect to be super mums. And I think the one thing I would say to all women, because I've been there, take a break. You know, let your partner get involved, which thankfully they are now, which is wonderful.
I know, but it is really hard. I know that they're starting to call it the 4th trimester. So people realise that for 3 months after you've given birth.
Absolutely.
You're not finished.
Absolutely, but I think it's lovely now that we're talking about it, because women now are saying, hang on, Erin, I'm going to get my mammy over to give me more support. My husband or my partner is going to have... And they do need to, but women need to take a break, and every second night, if you can, even if you're breastfeeding, you can use the pump. But it's so critical to sleep. You can't go months on end without sleeping. And you see, when you get overtired, your metabolism slows down. And when your metabolism slows down, you put on weight. That's the reality. And that affects your whole self-esteem, so it becomes a vicious circle. So women need to give themselves a break around that time and just realise, you know, none of us are robots. We're all human, and that the hormone cycle works brilliantly if we do everything right. But we have to try and help ourselves as well.
The pressure of being like, it should be the happiest time. Your hormones aren't what they were.
Absolutely,
That's so
and
important.
just don't be too hard on yourself.
Now, this one, I can imagine for the poor girl. My daughter suffers from extreme sweating to the point where she can't go anywhere. She also hasn't menstruated in 6 months. Is this a hormonal problem, or is there any advice you could give us? She must be so worried.
So it could well be. I don't know the age of the girl, but it could well be, you know, coming into perimenopause, menopause, because with the sweating, you would think that. It may not, though. It could well be a thyroid problem as well, because overactive thyroid will also cause
sweating. We don't know the age,
We don't know the age. So it could be, if she's in her 40s, it could well be perimenopause, menopause. Now, unfortunately, perimenopause can start in the 30s too. But it also could be a thyroid problem.
But if she's a teenager?
Oh, she's a teenager,
if she is.
Oh, she's a teenager. It could be just a thyroid problem, because an overactive thyroid will cause severe sweating and also will affect the periods. Because that's why hormones are all linked. So if you have an overactive thyroid and you've got severe sweating and your T4 is up at 70 where it should be down at 20, it will affect your period cycle. That's why everything is interlinked. We would see that regularly, particularly with thyroid. Very important.
Quickly here, can hormones cause a sudden increase in migraines? She's never had them and suddenly she's getting 3 or 4 a month now.
Yes, absolutely. So migraines are a sign of hormone imbalance, and she only got 2 a year and now she's getting 3 or 4. So yes, it could be again, it could be, you know, related to her cycle. Often women do get migraine around mid-cycle or around their cycle. So it could be there's a change in hormone imbalance, and that can be easily rectified.
But what do you do?
So basically, first of all, look at what's the cause. Is it got to do with the period? So you will have to sort that out. And then we have terrific medication for migraine. We have terrific. So our migraine medication needs to be altered, and we need to find out what is the precipitant. Like, for example, being overtired, being overstressed, working too hard can also upset the hormones. But in her case, it could well be period-related as well. So that's just sort of all. You can't just... We look at the whole thing, Alan, and there's a great treatment for migraine, you sort that, but you also look at what might be the underlying problem. So it could well be a period off.
It's all
connected. That out.
All connected for absolutely everybody. It is fascinating.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to that. You are, of course, the host of Empowering Women. That is your podcast, and your book, it's called It's Probably Your Hormones, which, as we're learning, they're all connected. It probably is.
It probably
your hormones. It's mad. Consultant endocrinologist Dr. Mary Ryan. Thank you so much for staying with us and doing that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Now on the way, we've got a taste of Italy in the kitchen. Come back to us after these. Now, we've just been told this is so easy to make by our new chef in the kitchen this morning, whose latest cookbook was recently featured in no less than Vogue magazine. Vogue, tell you I'm not dealing with muck here.
No, Erin has said this is so easy to make, even the two of you could manage it. Erin Bunting from The Edible Flower. You are very welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
I'm so delighted to be here.
And you drove from Down
Drove down from County Down, yes.
And because of the thunderstorm, 3 hours.
3 hours. It was 3
Fair
hours.
play to you for coming down.
Yeah.
The conditions are bad.
I'm
it's
here,
lovely to have you here.
and I'm going to make some wild garlic malfatti, which are Italian ricotta dumplings with a rich tomato sauce and some toasted walnuts and some little wild garlic flowers as well.
And that's the wild garlic flowers are all part of your book.
Part of the book. The book's all about cooking. So we've got some really nice wild garlic here, which you can forage or you can buy now in greengrocers and things as well. This time of year, it's in season. And I'm going to wilt it down, basically, to kind of almost like the way you would wilt down spinach.
I was just going to say that. Does it go down like... You put a massive bit of spinach in, and in seconds it's down
Well, you'll
to nothing.
see what it goes down to, but yeah, it goes down to nothing. So we're going to wilt it down, and that kind of makes the flavour a bit milder. Wild garlic is pretty garlicky. So it's just in a pan there with a wee bit of simmering water, and we're going to wilt it down.
Wild garlic really makes some, like if you make pesto of wild garlic, it's so good.
Yeah, exactly. It's so delicious, so kind of punchy. But this is another way of using it. And we're going to do it with a little tomato sauce. So I've got a tin of tomatoes here, and I've got about 30 grams of butter, and I've put in just half an onion. You don't need to chop it up or anything. It's just going to flavour the sauce. This is such an easy tomato sauce to make, like super easy. Wee pinch of salt, and we're just going to put it on the heat and simmer it away for about 30 minutes.
And you're okay with tinned tomatoes? You're not like not way. Some people are quite snobby about, oh no, do it yourself. Your tinned tomatoes grand.
Tinned tomatoes are absolutely grand. You can buy some really good Italian brands now, so with like loads of flavour and things. So we're just going to let that simmer away. And while the wild garlic's wilting down, we're going to make the dumplings. So I've got some ricotta in here, which is like an Italian soft cheese. I've got some flour. I've got an egg. I'm going to add in about 75 grams of parmesan, grated parmesan,
Erin.
and
I love a nice bit of parmesan.
Yeah, it's really delicious. A good grind of black pepper, and we're going to add in as well some nutmeg, which I think.
Trying to find parmesan in a supermarket the other day, and they didn't have any.
I think I think there's been sort of some shortages and things like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Parmesan.
So I'm just going to add a wee grating of nutmeg in there here. So this is fresh nutmeg, and it's so good with greens and with cheese. So like a really good tip to add some of that into anything that you're pasta dishes, anything with greens. I'm just going to give it a good mix.
Oh, this already, I'm like, this is going to be one of my favourite things I've ever eaten.
It's so cheesy and delicious.
So this is the dumpling. This is the dumpling mix here.
This is the dumpling mix here, yeah. So we're just mixing it together. So it's super easy. And actually, Malfatti means kind of badly made in Italian. So it actually is like so kind of easy to do. There's no kind of complicated folding.
Because you hear dumpling and you automatically go, I'll order that now. I'm not going to be able to do that myself.
So we've got that mix all together there. And then the wild garlic's just wilting down now. And actually, I've wilted some down earlier just so that you can see what it looks like when it's all done.
Lovely.
So basically, all that wild garlic will end up being this tiny amount of
and what do you'll dry it out then, do you?
So then once it's wilted down, you just pop it into a tea towel, squeeze out as much liquid as possible, let it cool down for a couple of minutes so it's not really hot. Squeeze out as much liquid as possible in a tea towel, and then you'll end up with this nice little chunk of wild garlic, and you can just roughly chop it up to go into the dumpling mix. So we're just going to chop it up there. And it's to be much milder flavour. You know, that's a lot of wild garlic, and you're thinking,
yeah,
that's a lot. Though I was on a foraging walk recently with a herbalist, and she was talking about wild garlic and the kind of properties of it, and she was saying it's actually an aphrodisiac. Wild garlic.
Really?
So,
well, now,
I think
talking about the hormones earlier on.
I think this is a great date night dish as long
Bring
as
it on.
both people are eating it.
See, that's what's important. So
there
that you
you go.
both stink.
Because it's quite garlicky.
Okay.
So it's good. It's good as long as both people are eating it.
Yeah.
Garlic is an aphrodisiac.
Yeah. Well, wild garlic is, yeah.
Oh,
so
wild
apparently,
garlic.
I'm not sure if all garlic is, but she was saying like that's one of the.
And have you road tested this for us, Erin? Have you found out if it's
No.
true?
No, she hasn't.
She just heard about it.
I just heard about it. I haven't tested it yet.
No.
I'll have to
So,
see.
like, I love this. That you're saying like it's not all perfect, and that's the phrase on it.
Yeah.
So you're just like getting it all in.
Yeah, getting
I
it all
could just
in.
imagine like chefs or a lot of housewives in Italy just doing this as a
super
average
easy.
days. Yeah.
It's a little like lunch dish, absolutely. And so I'm just taking little bits of the mixture and rolling it into kind of walnut-sized balls.
Yeah.
Or men doing it.
I was waiting for you to correct yourself. I was like, Willie.
I do apologise.
Will he do it?
A lot of people just doing this, men,
get that in
women,
your ear?
children. No,
Oh, you
I
did
did
well.
apologise myself. Correcting myself.
Yeah, it could be anybody making these. Children could make
So just
them. I
little
reckon.
balls, so like you can get the kids and sort of say, come on,
Yeah.
up you go, make the balls, here we go.
Like walnut-sized. And you're just going to pop them into... Basically, I've got a tray here with some semolina on it, and just toss them in a little bit of semolina, and that kind of creates a little sort of protective coating on them. And ideally, if you're making them, I've made some earlier, that you would leave them to sit then for about 15 minutes, and the kind of coating, it forms a little like...
What exactly is
protective
semolina?
Coating. It is wheat semolina, so it's just like a kind of slightly different variety of wheat, and it's not ground as finely as flour would be.
For some reason, I think it makes everything taste low. I love a bit of semolina on things. Make things
Do you? Get my hands on rinse here. Yes.
And this is the sort of thing, because you're all about foraging, like the edible flour, you grow edible food.
Yeah, we grow all our own food. We're organically certified. And actually, the wild garlic, well, I foraged for this wild garlic, but we grow wild garlic ourselves
So they go into a pot of hot water.
Yeah, so I've got
how long?
a pan of simmering water, and they cook super quickly, about 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
3 minutes, yeah.
Lovely.
So
you'll have your dinner very quickly.
Yeah, so I'm just going to pop them in there, and we're going to...
Could you prepare them the night before and put them in the fridge?
Yeah, you could, and actually, I wouldn't have done that before, but I tested it for doing this recipe, because I made them, obviously, yesterday to check them. So, yeah, you can make them the night before, put them in the fridge, in the little coating of semolina, and then cook them the following
imagine
day.
that then when you come in from work or whatever,
Delicious.
and then that's done, you have your meal in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
So we've got them cooking in there.
So you have some that you have already.
Yeah, and I've got some there. And this is the tomato sauce that we made earlier. So it's been bubbling away for about 30 minutes. I've taken the onion out of it, and then I just whizzed it up, basically.
Oh, okay.
With a stick blender, just to make a kind of rich tomato
make it kind
sauce.
of
And we've
perfect.
got a little portion.
Oh, here, don't do that.
No,
I think it's okay.
It's not too hot. It's
Not
grand.
too hot. There we
I have
go.
asbestos fingers of
oh no! Oh my God!
being a chef.
Look at this.
So these are the little dumplings, and we're just going to finish them off with some toasted walnuts, which I've just toasted in the oven for 15 minutes.
So you put the sauce on the bottom of it. You
10,
wouldn't
15
pour
minutes.
the sauce over.
No, I like the sauce on the bottom because it looks more beautiful.
It does look really pretty.
And then we've got a little grating of parmesan to go over the top of it, and then just to finish it off and make it look really beautiful, we're going to pick.
You're going to
a few
put some of
these
your garlic
wee
flowers, are you?
Wild garlic flowers.
Okay. Now,
these
do
are
we have
edible.
forks?
Just be careful outside the hot.
We do.
Yeah, these beautiful wee wild garlic flowers that add this gorgeous little punch.
Do you finish these off in the oven?
No, I wouldn't finish them off in the oven.
No,
it was
when
just,
they're done, they're
It
done.
was
You just
just
kept them in there for
there,
us.
just so that we've got them ready for you guys to eat.
So that's the way
take
you...
one of the wee flowers, because they're so beautiful. Like, they add this little kind of fresh garlic loveliness.
So you actually, I can smell the garlic there.
Oh.
It's a really good dish, isn't it?
That's delicious.
I
I'm
feel
not
like
joking,
you're
that's amazing.
transported to Tuscany when you eat it, so...
And you know what? It is, the flour is lovely, but it's not as strong as normally I would expect wild garlic to be, the way it's wilted
because it's
down.
been wilted down and it's a bit milder. And this recipe is actually in our book, so...
This is the edible flour here.
yeah.
Loads of recipes inside that.
Loads of
Featured
recipes.
in Vogue magazine.
And now Ireland AM.
I mean, come on,
I'm
it's
telling you.
amazing.
Thank you
Erin,
so much for
this is
that.
delicious. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you. We are.
And eat all that. That's amazing.
Now, up next, Ali Ryan is standing by with all the latest entertainment news. We'll see you in a few minutes.
An aphrodisiac.
Oh.
We're happy. Welcome back to Ireland AM. Now it's time to get our showbiz goss with the wonderful Ali Ryan from Goss.ie. Ali, thank you so much for joining us. And we just have some breaking news that is really, really sad.
Yeah, I know. Len Goodman has just died, age 78, from bone cancer. So obviously he was best known for being a judge on Strictly Come Dancing. He quit that in 2016 and he moved over to Dancing with the Stars in America. So he continued on all the way up until 2022.
Because he had been doing both. He'd been flying between
Him and Bruno.
London
Yes.
and LA.
Yeah.
It was madness.
I feel like he's one of the original kings of showbiz in a way. He's just so well known. He was so well loved. He was so good at what he did. He really made Strictly what it was. I really believe that. So I think there's going to be a lot of sad people today, and especially a lot of Strictly fans very upset about that news because he was just such a character.
I know, and we love this thing from Len. It's a 10. I used to do that. Yeah.
Strictly won't be back now until the new, close to the new year, but I'd be interested to see if they do something
How they do a
nice.
tribute to him.
Yeah, because he's going to be very missed.
He was wonderful, and he was part of the thing that made that show so successful. So, our hearts go out to his family. It's such a sad
2023 has not been great so far. There's been a few celebrity deaths. It's
There
not been a
has
good
been.
start. So
I know, after
hopefully
the weekend
not
with
too
Dame
much
Edna.
more.
Anyway, so very sad news. Just breaking there. We're going to move on to some other news, and I don't know. People seem to. We didn't know anything about them. Joe Alwyn and Taylor Swift have broken up.
You're like, who? Can I just say to put
as
into...
someone who
Well, I know
just don't
Taylor
care
Swift.
about
I
them.
actually didn't know that we're dating for nearly 6 years.
Yeah, so to give you some Irish context on it, they actually holidayed quite a lot in Ireland when they started seeing each other because he's a British actor. During COVID, she was spotted in Limerick loads of times. Like, she's been in Ireland a lot.
And he was in conversations with friends.
Yes,
like, shooting it
of
here
course. So she came back for that. But you know her album that's all about like the woods and the trees and the cardigans. I can't remember the name, but
How dare you?
I'm not that mad on
Folklore.
album. But folklore apparently was really inspired by some of her time here. So there is an Irish angle to it.
Yes.
But yeah, so they've broken up. It's a real shock because a lot of fans believed they were secretly married, that they'd got married. Now, it was the first time. She's not really writing songs anymore about heartbreak. She's in a really good place. But sources are saying now that when COVID ended and it kind of went back to Taylor the superstar, it got too difficult. What's really interesting, though, is very quickly they're both linked to other people. So he's been linked to an actress called Emma Lard, who's literally a lookalike of Taylor. She looks so similar to her. She also plays the guitar as well. She put up a picture on Instagram, though, of him on like a motorbike over the Easter break. She definitely knew that was going to get picked up.
Now, hold on.
Taylor Swift.
They're working together on a film or on a program in Hungary called and they're hanging around with each other.
Yeah, but there's a photo of him on his own on her Instagram.
When we were in Galway on Thursday,
Taking
did you
a
see
picture
there
with
on
each
somewhere
other.
that I proposed to you? Anyway.
Do I get a ring? It wasn't on Goss anyway. But yeah,
so this is the picture.
This is the picture, and she put a little love heart beside it as well. Now, the rumours were before this picture. People were already talking about them hanging around, her apparently being there for him. What I love about Taylor is her publicity team. They're the best in the world. I have been contacted by her team before. Like, they want to know that her story is being told the best way possible.
Sorry, go back to why you've been contacted by her team.
Well, they contacted Goss. Yeah, they wanted a story changed. Like, she is the queen of PR.
Wow.
Because very quickly now she's linked to somebody all of a sudden, literally days after this.
Who?
So Alonso, he's basically a Formula 1 driver. Have you ever seen Drive to Survive?
Not Alonso Fernando. Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso.
She is not linked to Fernando Alonso.
He's having an amazing year.
Do we have a picture of Fernando Alonso? There he is.
He's 41. He's having an amazing year.
He's been in Formula 1 forever.
He left he's already retired and came back. He's driving for Aston Martin now. He's having one of his best years ever. I'm obsessed with Formula 1, by the way. So he's been on the podium loads of times. And now there's rumours. So it came through a tip on Dimois, which is a blind item, which means you could say anything, like your proposal. But it was picked up very quickly. And I'm just saying her PR team, they know about these sort of stories. So very quickly, she's now linked to one of the biggest Formula 1 drivers in the world. He's won the Formula 1 twice. It's very interesting.
For God's sake.
She would be towering over that fella.
But I love the thing that Emma Laird had to take that picture down because...
She had to turn off comments. No, she had to turn off her comments.
Turn off comments because Taylor Swift fans were...
Yeah, but this is why I'm like, is she well to have done that in the first place? Like, Jake Gyllenhaal to this day still has his comments disabled on Instagram. Yeah, because he literally can't put up anything. He could literally be like, I've cured cancer, and people would be like, how did you do that to Taylor? So his comments are always off. So this is what happens.
How did you do that to Taylor?
No, honestly, everything he puts up... I remember he put up a UN humanitarian thing once and he to disable the comments. So... I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe she genuinely was a bit naive, but it does seem like those two are getting close. And whether they are or they aren't, Taylor's PR team were on it, and she's linked to someone else.
Yeah. In the PR world, you want to talk about Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. For the last month, supposedly they've been going out. What's their portmanteau? What's their name together?
Kyla Thay, which I love.
Kyla Thay.
Now, speaking of crazy fans, this is another issue. So she did an interview with some magazine a couple of weeks ago saying, I might have a third child. I'm thinking about it. Now everyone's like, how dare she? Is she pregnant with Timothy's child? So he has such crazy fans, like Harry Styles level. But yeah, apparently they're dating. They're spending all their weeks together. They've been spotted in really random parts of LA, like really quiet places that paparazzi would never be, just like in their kind of normal clothes, having dinner, having
like a McDonald's, I think, at one stage.
Stuff like
That's
that.
the way to do it, isn't it? Terrible that they have to go and hide like that.
It makes me think it's real when you hear that, because if they're in like Chateau Marmont, you're going to be like, this is publicity.
Yeah.
But the rumours have come from a Jenner source. So again, we never know with the Kardashians.
Oh, God
is it
almighty.
to cover up something? But it is the first time she's dated anybody in the last couple of years between her and Travis Scott, the father of her kids. So I think this is her being like, it's done. We're over. So whether it's real or not, I don't know, but it's her way of saying, I am single, I'm back on the market.
I am
single.
Now, Emrat, Irish connection, West Cork, grew up there in her summers.
This is the Blarney Stone.
So we all know that she was shifting Harry Styles in Tokyo.
The weirdest kiss that I've ever seen in my life.
Is this the one at the car?
Yeah. Up against
that everybody
car.
saw.
Everyone's seen.
This thing here.
If
Look
you
at
ever
it.
fancied Harry Styles, just watch that video, because he is the worst kisser I've ever seen in my life.
And I swear to God, it could have happened outside of Munger GA up in a car.
With her jacket on as well and everything.
So, and then pictures emerged of Emily with his ex Olivia Wilde a few months later at his gigs.
Yeah, so then
they were meant to be friends, and now she's meant to be going out with him. What's the story?
And there was rumours that there was a confrontation. This is what I love about Emily Ratajkowski. She's always really honest, because people are always like, the tabloids make everything up. But she did an interview with Vogue being like, yeah, no, she did confront me. It's an awkward situation. But then just went on a huge ramble about how happy she is and that she's newly dating someone. So it seems like bros went before hoes, maybe, in this situation. Because
wow,
she's
bringing it back to One Tree Hill
she's
there.
just very open about it. Now, fair enough, like, she's had a rough time herself. She just, like, got a divorce from her husband. There was cheating rumours there. I think she's just young, having fun. She was linked to Pete Davidson before. She's kind of like the female Pete Davidson. She's just going out there, having good fun. But maybe her and Olivia weren't that close. I mean, maybe they were just in the VIP area. I don't know. But apparently they were friends. You never know what to believe. But she just said, look, it's an unfortunate situation, but I'm happy to be dating. But knowing Harry, it's not going to last that long.
Oh, don't say that. Anyway, look, we're running out of time, but Zendaya performed at Coachella at the weekend.
Yes, any Euphoria fans would love that. He basically writes the entire soundtrack for it.
Labyrinth does, yeah.
Labyrinth's amazing, and yeah, the fans were screaming. They loved it. But most importantly, to end on, I'm a Celebrity All-Stars.
Kicks off tonight.
It's starting tonight. There's
9
some
p.m.
amazing people coming back. Janice Dickinson. My favourite as well, Carol Vorderman. I love Carol Vorderman. I think it's going to be really fun. It was pre-recorded in South Africa, not in Australia. So Helen Flanagan's back as well.
Now, I don't know why she did it. She was a meltdown the last time.
That's probably why.
What we've learned today is that Taylor Swift's people have been in touch with Goss.ie. This is what I want to see, the emails.
I'll be back
Ali,
next week being like, I take back what I said.
Check it out.
Never happened.
Ali Ryan from Goss.ie, thank you so much.
Lots coming up on the show tomorrow, including former Eurovision hopeful Brooke Scullion. She'll be in studio to chat new music.
Bye.
Bye.